True off me as my parents only noticed me when they needed me. I 17F grew up in a house that looked perfect from the outside. My parents are self-made business owners, the type who love to post motivational quotes on LinkedIn and brag about how hard work gave them everything. To the world, they were the dream couple, successful, powerful, admired. But behind closed doors, there was me, only child they barely acknowledged. My childhood was filled with empty rooms and silent dinners. Nannies, tutors, and housekeepers raised me more than they ever did. If I got an A, they'd just nod and say, "That's expected." If I got a B, it was, "Why can't you focus? Do better." There were no hugs after school plays. No one cheering at my games. No "how was your day" conversations. I learned early on not to need them. Fast forward to now, I'm 17, almost an adult. And suddenly, everything changed, not because they wanted to finally know me, but because their empire is cracking. One of their businesses is failing. Lawsuits are piling up, and for the first time in years, they actually looked at me, not as their daughter, as a tool. They started talking about how family sticks together. They suddenly cared about what college I applied to because networking could help the family name. They started asking me to babysit meetings, take calls, even act like the perfect child for investors and partners. My image, the daughter they ignored for 17 years, is now bargaining chip. At first, I went along with it. Part of me wanted to believe maybe this was a chance to finally connect with them. But it felt fake. Every compliment, every smile was only when someone else was watching, behind closed doors. Nothing changed. They still don't know my favorite color, my dreams, the things I cry about at night. The breaking point came last week. My mom told me I should be grateful because most kids would love the opportunities they're handing me. I asked her when she ever cared about what I wanted. She didn't even hesitate. She said, "We gave you everything. That's what matters." I don't know how to feel. Angry, numb. It's spent my whole life invisible, and now I'm just a pawn in their crumbling empire. I keep wondering if their businesses were still thriving, would they even notice me at all? Part of me wants to cut them off the second I turn 18. Another part of me still foolishly hopes they'll see me as more than just an accessory to their success. I don't know what to do yet, but I do know one thing for the first time: they need me more than I need them. And maybe, just maybe, that changes everything. No real ending here. Just me trying to figure out if it'll ever matter to them beyond what I can provide. Update: my parents only noticed me when they needed me. So I'm back. A lot has happened since my last post. I'm still 17, but my life feels like it's moving way too fast. The perfect empire my parents bragged about, it's basically collapsing. Their biggest business is almost bankrupt. Debts piling up, and investors pulling out. Suddenly, our giant house doesn't feel like luxury. It feels like a cage holding to desperate adults who are scrambling to keep their image together. And then, as if the universe wanted to twist the knife, my grandma passed away. She was the only person in my family who truly cared about me. She wasn't rich like my parents, but she always called, always listened, always made me feel like I mattered. Losing her was like losing the only anchor I had. But here's where it gets messy. Grandma left me an inheritance. Not my parents, not the family business, me. She made it clear in her will it was specifically for me. College, living expenses, my future. Nothing for them. The second they found out, it was like vultures circling. My mom cried about family unity. My dad talked about how I should be responsible and invest it back into the business because we're all in this together. They said Grandma would wanted me to help the family. Funny, because Grandma literally told me before she passed that she wanted me to use it to build a life away from them. Now every day is pressure. They guilt trip me. If you don't help, well, lose everything. Do you want your parents on the streets? This is bigger than "yeah, you're being selfish." Meanwhile, I can't even grieve properly. The woman who loved me more than anyone is gone. And instead of mourning, I'm dodging emotional blackmail from the same parents who never cared about me until their empire crumbled. Part of me feels powerful, like for once I hold the cards. They need me now. But another part of me feels sick, because all I ever wanted was their love, not their desperation. And now I have to choose: do I sacrifice my future for people who treated me like I was invisible? Or do I finally put myself first like Grandma wanted? I haven't touched the inheritance yet. It's sitting there, waiting. My parents are circling like sharks, whispering, begging, demanding. I feel like the walls are closing in, and every choice I make will change the rest of my life. I don't know what it'll do yet, but I do know one thing: for the first time, they're afraid of losing me. And maybe, just maybe, they should be. No ending here, just me, a grieving 17-year-old, holding the last piece of love my grandma gave me. While my parents' empire crumbles around us. Update to my parents are struggling, but I only found out through mutuals. It's been months since my last update. I turned 18, I moved out. I used part of grandma's inheritance to get my own place. Nothing fancy but mine, for the first time. I wake up without the weight of walking on eggshells in that giant cold house. I can breathe, after I cut contact. I thought maybe my parents would chase harder, but they didn't, not directly. No calls, no texts, just silence. At first, that silence hurt. I kept checking my phone like some little kid hoping for attention. But it never came. Eventually, the silence became freedom. And then, I heard two mutuals neighbors, old family friends, even some relatives that my parents are struggling, bad. The bankruptcy went through, businesses closed, people they once bragged to now whisper about their downfall. Apparently they sold off properties, laid off employees, and are barely holding on to what's left. Hearing it secondhand was strange. Part of me expected to feel satisfied, like karma was finally real. And honestly, a small part of me did. But another part of me felt this weird heaviness. These are still my parents. No matter how badly they treated me, I don't know if that makes me weak. Or just human, because while they're drowning, in thriving, not in a flashy way, but in ways that actually matter. I got into a program I wanted. I've started a little side hustle using skills I taught myself. I have friends who check in, who know my favorite color, who actually listen when I talk. I even started therapy, something my parents always dismissed as pointless. Life feels real for the first time. I'm building something that's mine, not theirs, and yet, the guilt creeps in sometimes. Mutuals ask me if I've spoken to them. They tell me my mom cries about me, that my dad says abandoned them when they needed family most. It's like even from a distance, they're still trying to rewrite the story. Make me the villain for finally putting myself first. I don't know how to feel. Angry, free, guilty. It all mixes together until I can't even name it anymore. All I know is that I didn't leave to punish them, I left to save myself, still. Sometimes late at night, I wonder if they showed up tomorrow. Broken and humble, would I even open the door? Or have I already closed it for good? No real ending here, just me. Caught between the life I'm finally building and the ghost of the parents who only saw me when they needed me. Final update: years later they finally came. It's been years since my first post. I'm not that 17-year-old kid anymore. I'm in my 20s now. And life looks completely different. I built something for myself, using grandma's inheritance as the seed. I started small, just a side hustle while working part-time and studying. One step at a time, it grew. Now, I run my own business. It's not perfect, but it's mine, and it's thriving. The kind of thriving that doesn't need flashy cars or empty houses to prove it, just stability, freedom, and peace. I've got friends who feel like family. People who cheer me on, who show up, who love me for who I am, not for what I can provide. I've traveled, I've laughed, I've cried, I've healed. Most importantly, I've learned that my worth isn't tied to whether my parents ever gave me love. For years, there was no contact, just whispers through mutuals about how far they'd fallen. And honestly, I didn't think I'd ever hear from them again. Until recently. They reached out, but not like before. No begging, no guilt trips, no manipulation. For the first time in my life, they were humble, apologetic. My dad admitted he didn't realize how much damage he caused until everything was gone, and he had time to sit with it. My mom said she wished she'd been a mother instead of just a businesswoman. Their words were quiet, not dramatic, no excuses, just regret, and I didn't know how to react, because for years I dreamed of hearing those words. Then when they finally came, I realized I don't need them anymore. I've already built the life I wanted without them. I'm not writing this to say we had some fairytale reunion. We didn't. I kept boundaries, I listened, I acknowledged their apology. But I didn't run back into their arms. Because forgiveness doesn't erase years of neglect. It doesn't mean forgetting the nights I cried alone, or the times they only saw me as a tool. What it does mean is that I finally feel free. Free from chasing their love, free from the weight of proving my worth, free to move forward without the chains of resentment. They're still figuring out their lives, and I wish them well, but mine is finally my own. This will be my last and final update. I won't be posting again. I'm turning off notifications and moving forward with my life. Thank you to everyone who reminded me that I wasn't selfish for putting myself first. You were right, I didn't abandon my family, I saved myself. And that made all the difference.